Those who were teenagers in the 90s, what piece of technology took you a long time to adapt to during the turn of the century? I didn't want a cell phone because I didn't want to be reachable all the time. Well, that's no longer allowed. Be like me and have no friends. I'm reachable 24/7, but no one ever reaches out. It's great. My phone absolutely never rings unless it's spammers or my wife. For me it's stuff like LinkedIn and building a professional social media and networking presence. I'm not really into regular social media, so it's something I never did or built. I didn't understand the importance of a clean social media presence until I was turned down for a job because I used the word def online. The concept of not hiding your identity online. Always lie when asked ASL was drilled into me. So the idea that someone can just mosey on over to Facebook and find your personal information is wild to me. I said that earlier. When I was a young teen first getting online, two things were drilled into us. Never use your real name as your screen name and never give any personal info or meet anyone from online. Now there's an app to meet strangers to F from online. Lol. 17/F Cali. Cyber. You start. I put on my robe band wizard hat. Man. Nowadays it's the lack of chat rooms. When I was a teen in the late 90s, chat rooms were cool. I used to go on one, a Lamac, and there was an RP chat room that was always full of people. A teen's chat room, one for 20s and 30s, it used to always be full with hundreds of people. Now if you go there it's only like 50 or so people online all in the same lobby. And Yahoo used to have a chat room sorted by major cities and you could meet people and find people to hook up with on there. Or just find new strangers to talk to and maybe make friends in the area. There are basically no chat rooms anymore, and the ones that are still around are super small compared to their heydays. Bluetooth. Strangely, I was a you can take my headphone jack when you pry it from my cold dead hands type of person, but now I use Bluetooth exclusively, even when I still had a headphone jack in my phone. Oh, I was not cell phone savvy, I had no idea what a Bluetooth was. In college I saw a lady talking to herself in the grocery store. It was so weird. She looked normal but she was going on and on. I pointed this out to my now husband and he said, "Oh yeah, she's got Bluetooth." Fast forward several weeks and it comes up again. So I ask for clarification about this slang for what is obviously a mystery disease that makes people insane. He's never let me live that down. 15 years later and he still cracks jokes about people who've got the Bluetooth. Constant, normalized surveillance. I'm still not accustomed to it, and I never will be. My kid is 11 and it blows her mind to hear that there didn't used to be video cameras all over schools, stores, and stoplights, or that we could go shopping in the airport mall, or walk right to the gate to meet someone coming in on a flight. We didn't have to worry about data dragnets or deepfakes, full body scanners, or the long-term implication of biometrics and how that data could be weaponized in the future. I think that's the biggest thing teens and early 20s now will never be able to grasp, just how different everything was pre-9/11. Not just the technology, but also the sociological blowback. We used to trust each other so much more, weren't as suspicious of strangers' motivations, etc. It makes me really sad to think about how normalized it's all become and how there is no going back. I think that's the biggest thing teens and early 20s now will never be able to grasp, just how different everything was pre-9/11. I'll die on the hill that 9/11 is the generation marker that defines the millennial and Gen Z demographics. If you can recall 9/11 clearly, you're a millennial. If you can't, you're part of Gen Z. We were raised and taught with anti-totalitarian literature like 1984 and Animal Farm. Now people install it in their homes so they don't have to get up and adjust the thermostat. Yup, my kid cousin is 20, and they didn't read either of those in school. No lessons on totalitarianism, replaced with heightened propaganda and nationalism. At her high school graduation, they had a 15-minute tribute to the armed forces complete with standing ovations for all of the children enlisting. It was so effing morbid and surreal. Now she has friends dying in an endless war that started before they could walk, because they raised up on the legend of 9/11 without any true grasp of the gravity of it. Voice recognition actually being good and usable is the thing I'm still getting used to. This is a good one. I still assume it's complete garbage, as many early implementations were. I have yet to find a voice command option that I wouldn't rather just manually do myself. As far as I'm concerned, it's still thoroughly pointless. I waited to get a smartphone until almost everyone else my age had one. I always used to say that I don't need to have the internet with me all the time. Once I made the switch though, there was no looking back. This was me too. I didn't get my first smartphone until 2014 and everyone thought I was crazy. Honestly though, I do miss not having one. I feel like I was less lazy because when I was bored I would do stuff. Now I just grab my phone and browse Reddit instead. The constant availability of a seemingly endless stream of entertainment, in any form. I still can't adapt. I should be sleeping right now. Remember when the TV only showed Boring Nation in the middle of the night? Plus dead channels and scrambled Skinner Max. The other night laying in bed I didn't want to watch anything in particular, but I wanted to watch TV. So I go to Pluto and start watching random things. My husband asks me what I'm doing. I'm flipping channels. Sometimes I miss doing that. Streaming. I like actually owning music. I'm torn by this. I still feel pride in owning my own music. Feels like a personally curated library, but streaming allows me to listen to such a huge variety of music so much more affordably. What annoys me is the service may be gone in 5 years and there may not be any way to rebuild and get every song like I once had. Video calling, Skype, FaceTime, whatever it's called these days. Well, I still haven't adapted. My younger siblings insist every call must be a video call. Nah dog, I'm good. Seriously, why do I need to see you to talk with you? Maybe I'm multitasking. Maybe I'm pooping. I don't like using FaceTime or video calling because I'm ugly and I look even worse over FaceTime. Same. Laptops. I remember the old ones my dad would have for work and how they really sucked compared to the desktop we had. Once they started having them in schools, I still thought they sucked. I guess I knew that they would naturally get better, but the idea that a laptop would ever be powerful enough for things like gaming, serious computing ability, or small enough to be carried conveniently? Yeah right, not anytime soon. Looking back, I know how dumb it was, considering people have had the same feelings for everything from electricity to the telephone. But at the time, my aversion to them and being dismissive about them really put me at a disadvantage for a few years. Now we have plenty of people who will never own a computer because cell phones. I have a Samsung and X isn't great, but I love the idea of it and seeing it become a norm. I work with children and the amount of kids and teenagers who just cannot type at all is seriously shocking. Phones and tablets have seriously hindered children's ability to use computers. Took me a long time to get on board with texting. I remember telling one of my buddies, why would I text you when I can just call you? It's much faster. And I never pick up a call unless it's family or work. Yep, same here. I thought texting was so stupid. Just a fad. How wrong I was. I was slow to start texting too. The very first time I sent a text it said I'm texting. The response I got was, why? Did your carrier pigeon die? Don't know if it's technology exactly, but it's certainly a byproduct of it. The loss of privacy. Actually, it's not really the loss of privacy that really gets me. It's the loss of the expectation of privacy. Your business was your business, and people kinda respected that. Or they were an OZB. It wasn't really the norm until phone cameras and, particularly, 9/11, that your business was government business, or semi-public business, or worse yet, potentially profitable entertainment on the internet for a stranger. If I went out with my friends, did stupid not that this ever occurred, mind you cough, and then proceeded to keep our damned mouths shut, nobody ever found out about it. It wasn't immortalized in a cell phone pic on Facebook, and if someone asked, and you said, huh, what? Nah, don't know what you're talking about. It felt like people had enough respect for your privacy to not push the issue. It's not social media I hate, it's the attitude that a lot, if not most, people have taken to social media. People post pics or vids of strangers because they were doing something funny or stupid without permission. That's an invasion of someone's privacy, not lol. Film someone dressed weird because you think they're funny looking. You're an a-hole who should probably learn to keep your nose out of others people's business, not an influencer, entertainer, or some stupid People treat other people differently. emo, since we blurred privacy, news, and entertainment, and I think it's making people more self-conscious and anxious, just in general, because I think there's an element of kinda always feeling like you might be center stage without realizing it. On the one hand, you always take a risk of being seen in public and being somebody's entertainment if there's no phones, video recorders around. It isn't technically a private life if you're doing it in public. But on the other hand, we've built our technology and culture around recording other people and freezing them in these moments of emotion, whether it be shame, triumph, or some false image of happiness posted on Instagram. We're choosing these instances to cement the social standing or outlook of these people who, for whatever reason, might just be having an off day, or who are celebrated but might otherwise be total a-holes in their lives. It's a culture of headline results based on incredibly small sample sizes. I tend to agree that it's largely a bad thing. The technology is fantastic, but the wielders need to be trained to use these things effectively and not create a culture of iconography for the future. It really does make me anxious, feeling like I can't be as goofy or innocently odd as I used to be, lest the whole world know of my day-to-day nonsense, whether it be someone who whips out their phone to watch me fail or some outraged blogger. Truly a marvel of this interconnected age. Social media has been my only hurdle. The fact that people are so willing to put their faces and real identifying information out to the public on the internet just frightens me. The blind trust that consumers put into these corporations is astounding. The fact that people are so willing to put their faces and real identifying information out to the public on the internet just frightens me. God, I remember when I was a young teen getting online, adults would always tell us never use your real name for a screen name and don't ever put any personal information on there. It's amazing how these corporations shoehorned in your real identity to be commonplace online. My Facebook is locked down to only friends and I go by a fake name on there, and also have one under my real name that I just post benign pics on from time to time to give the impression that that is my real FB, so mindless HR drones have something to see to check off on their list, because apparently your Facebook is relevant when people are going over assumes now. I refuse to get any on board with any more of that schnow. The blinders are often the people who don't see it for what it is and paying attention. I think it was Yang who was saying the other day, these social media companies who swooped in and gobbled up all our personal data without permission should owe us money now. I like that idea. I had, and still have, a hard time with friends looking at cell phones while we are hanging out. I remember when hanging out with the friend was the entertainment. I have a friend who will invite me over to watch a movie, and then spend the entire time looking at Reddit. It makes me feel so awkward. Take out a book. From personal experience, I know people stuck to the screen will get really angry really fast when you do that. I was born in the 90s and I agree with you. I went out for dinner today with a couple of my friends and they both started staring at their phones as soon as we were seated. I remember having actual conversations with my friends over dinner as a teenager. It's a little disheartening. Life pro tip: learn to engage. People will put down their phones if you take the lead. It's not easy, but someone has to do it, or it's a table of phones night. Don't wait for them to do it. This is your calling. Streaming media vs owning a copy. Software as a service in general. Touch screens. I kept a phone with a hard keyboard for a long time. Stored CCS on websites. I remember when you could get a one-time number for special transactions. I'm still against cash apps like Venmo. Everyone that says I need it takes cash. The trend towards games as a service kills any desire I have to play modern AAA games. No microtransactions. No bullshit has become a selling point. Now, I find that disgusting, honestly. Born in '79. I don't know if it counts as technology really, but apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats. Part of it is because I think the idea of MCDS being delivered to me is the epitome of laziness, but also because I just don't want cold French fries. Also, in the 90s, going to MCDS or any other restaurant was a treat for us. Having it delivered cold to your door just doesn't have the same appeal. Not to mention it seems to double the price of the meal sometimes. I'll just make the walk over and save a few dollars. YouTube. I'll never forget when they didn't have any goddamn commercials. You could binge watch videos all day. Now it's all garbage, including the people. I miss the YT where the comment threads made structural sense. didn't require an attachment to a Google account, and the YouTubers could send angry reply videos back and forth at each other. I mean, we didn't hit Y2K and suddenly go from throwing spears at each other to using iPads like some kind of Neanderthal time slip comedy, which would be totally 90s. This stuff got developed as we grew up, so we just went through each iteration. If anything, it was less like massive change. Like how you don't notice yourself getting fat until it's too late. Except Kylie Jenner. Why the hell do people care about what that girl does? Not tech, but assuming someone knocking on your door is a stranger starting in the 2000s versus a friend visiting your house in the 90s. Life used to be simple. Hey, if someone's coming to my house with the expectation of entering it, they better have given me a week's notice. I need to be mentally prepared for that. Knock on my door? What kind of heathen are you? Text me from the driveway like a civilized person. PLS. None of them. We got dial-up internet when I was about 13. But I have been using computers and electronics my whole life. It all seemed like a pretty natural progression to me. Came here to say this. We know tech pretty damn well. We don't usually F with apps like TikTok, but that's not because of a lack of understanding of why it's appealing. Same. My dad was a nerd. I had a computer in my house since I could remember, and I'm 38. I don't remember having a hard time acclimating. I can't pick a specific item, but I used to use a tape player a lot in the 80s to 90s. I would record radio songs and pretend to be a DJ in between. When CDs came out, I just didn't care for them. I couldn't record to them yet, and they were expensive. I think we owned a Mozart CD as our only CD for the first 5 years. It wasn't until I had a CD player in my own car that I even bought them. I still don't understand how to use Excel beyond the very basics, and I've worked in finance for close to 20 years. I just recently got halfway decent with Excel and it was worth it, but I was so resistant. Still can't format in WordForce though, and I have to write a lot of documentation.